everyone, welcome. Today is Tuesday, March 29th, 2022. I am Solid Blue Sister, and this is My Turn to Talk. Welcome, Frankie. You are number one. The only crazy lady, you are number two. I apologize for the late start. I had to shut everything down and reboot. Welcome, Power Girl, and welcome, Brina. You guys are number 3 and 4. Again, I apologize for the late start. Okay, I'm going to get started here. Okay, so today, the topic is God has a message he's sending my way. Welcome, Maid Man, and welcome, Mama Bear Tracy. Okay, so do we ignore messages from God? Who do you think God is? Is there a higher authority who we need to listen to? Okay, and when people say a higher being, most people, not all, but most people assume that you're talking about God, Jesus Christ, Holy Spirit, whomever you believe, God, quote unquote, to be. Who is God? Or do you have is there a higher being that is sending you messages that you should listen to that we don't? Is that little voice in the back of your head, is that really God talking? Is that God telling you, you shouldn't do this, don't do this, or yes, you made the right choice? So that's what I want to talk about today. And I also want to ask, because I know this conversation, like all of our conversations, they kind of go different ways. Do you believe in a higher power, whatever that, whomever you think God is, or maybe I shouldn't even say God, but do you believe that there is a such thing as a higher power? Do you believe that there is a force out there that is greater than all of us? What do you think? Do you believe that you could possibly be that higher power? Because there are some people who are atheists, who don't believe in God, the God that we were brought up in church, to believe. So who is that higher power? Who is that God? So those are my questions. Welcome, Lurock. So, Jill, you came on, so you want to start us off?
Hey y'all.
Hey,
Uh,
hey, hey,
um. Hey. Did you give me the fat Albert?
hey, hey,
That's
hey.
crazy. um. Let me see. Am I the higher? I just remember your last. That's crazy. Are you, if you the thought of that? I don't know how to feel about that.
Okay,
Am
let
I
me.
the higher
Okay,
power?
okay. Before you go on, I'm going to throw this out there. Think of people who are heads of states. Think of presidents, prime ministers, queens, popes, whatever. You have people who pray to the Pope. They kiss his hand. I would never kiss the Pope's hand because for me, he is a human being. So,
Mm.
but you have people who put people in the position of being a higher power. So that's why I throw in there, do we consider ourselves to be the higher power?
Hmm. Well, if you listen to old girl last night, she may think I am like I think. I mean, the chick from last night might call me the higher power. I don't know. I just feel like
I
it's
have no idea who you're talking about.
yeah. Never mind. You never mind. It's a different
Oh,
conversation.
okay. Never mind.
No,
Never
no,
mind. I totally got it. We need to bring Kristen back
no,
on.
no,
Okay.
no. No, but no, that's an interesting question because I think that in a sense when you're asking is that's an arrogance, man. That's a crazy arrogance to think that you're a walking deity. Like eh, or is it? Or should you think that? Because I think definitely the Lord or the God is within all of us, and a lot of times we think like to the skies above. That's where we need to look to get help or assistance, or we just think it's in the clouds or somewhere. And I don't think that's how it works. I think we don't. That's not how it works. There's definitely a voice that speaks within you, right? Like your initial, subject matter. Omens. What's the book? Well, what's that book? It was a great book that I think everybody should read. That like it's a famous book. That speaks about omens. So I'll figure it out and I'll put it in the chat. But they are we definitely sometimes we listen, sometimes we don't. But I think the part is when is it the devil or when is the angel on our shoulder? Deciphering when it's that. That's the problem. Like that's the trick to life. That's the life. If you can figure out when it's the devil on your shoulder and when it's the, angel on your shoulder telling you to do the right or wrong thing or not even just whatever decision it is, that's that you learn through time, learning that. Well, I just made that decision based on lust, or I'm making this decision based on logic, or maybe I'm just being too logical and I need to, follow my heart in this situation. And so that's the kind of the gray area that we all have to learn for ourselves growing. And I think we do need to listen because certain happenings, whether it's short term, even long term, can happen to where you just kind of start to learn and listen to yourself. That's the thing. And that's why I learned to start listening to older, my elders. And I think that comes when you're like in your mid 20s to 30s. If you just care and you're aware, you start kind of listening to a mentor or elder. If you have that, some people don't have that, or they have trust issues in which they'll never have that because they tried it and it didn't work out. Maybe on a couple different occasions. So, but I do think whether it's a mentor or a deity or just the universe in general, they teach us what we should and should not do or what we should and should not listen to. There absolutely is a higher power to some degree, whatever you want to argue and call it. I don't like to get into that mess. And then I grew up as a Baptist, and sometimes I'm partial to certain things, but I've studied different religions that and I can tell you if you sit down with someone, an expert from their religion, even what's the dude that was crazy with the coat in Texas or something. You sit down with them, they'll make it make sense. You sit down with a KKK member, he'll make it make sense. You sit down with Malcolm X, he'll make it make sense. You know what I'm saying? So it's really about what's in your heart and what you follow. And I feel like if you got great intent and you basically treat people like you want to be treated, or even in my case, I try to treat people better than that. Sometimes we fall short because we're human, but that's that awareness too, is all in encompassing it and just growing and learning and just trying to. I think the part is messes up is when you just lay down the hammer and don't fight and don't care, and that's when you go into hell or whatever you want to call it, or purgatory, afterlife purgatory.
Well, Jill, okay, let me ask this. And Crazy Lady, I am coming to you, but Jill said something. You said, about the universe. So could the universe be the higher power?
Absolutely, 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 and that's what I'm saying. How we think of it, some people think that hey, God's be over the clouds and space, and He's looking down on us with like at a globe, or it's not like that. That it's it is within you to a certain degree, and if we're all connected to it to a certain degree, and it's just the way we fathom things. We always have to compartmentalize things. I think we just can't fathom it and it's just beyond us. And so that's what's scary, the unknown. Yeah, and we can't figure shit out, and we just got to be able to live with that. That's hard to live with. So we just sometimes pick something though to attach, whether it
Okay.
makes sense or not. We just pick something.
Okay. Um, The only crazy lady, and welcome Baram. Only crazy lady, you have the mic. Welcome, welcome.
Um, Hello. Uh, yeah, I think that, I mean, like, everyone knows my version of God is like different from theirs, but, you know, it all comes down to, um, uh, don't be a schmuck, you know? I mean, because like all the basic religions, I mean, it has that foundation, you know? And I believe that, uh, our higher beings do communicate with us, whether it be, a aha moment or to, we just have to see the signs, you know what I mean?
So, do you think a higher being could also be that conscience that's in the back of your head, or like I said, that little voice that's telling you yes or no, or don't do this, or yes, you did a good job, or that little voice? Do you think that's also could be a higher power?
Uh, yeah, because I tell you what, anytime I've ever not listened to that little Spidey voice in the back of my head, so, it has not turned out well,
Okay,
and that's just being, in tune with, yeah.
okay. Oh, and before we go on today, guys, even though Bahram is not on the panel, I would like to say today is his birthday, so we can wish Bahram a happy birthday today.
Happy
So, is he
birthday.
popping up? All right.
See, he's not on the.
I don't see. I have had problems
He's
with
right
that.
there.
That's why I was 10 minutes late coming on. What you guys see and what I see is totally different. I had to totally reboot. Podbean was not letting me in. That I had to reboot again. So I see that it says that he's here, but I don't see him. So Bob, I'm sorry. Can you go out and come back in?
Happy
So I am
birthday,
so
bro.
sorry.
Happy birthday.
But today is his 75th birthday. So,
He's 75
all
today. Oh,
right.
congrats.
He's 75.
No, he's not. No, he's not.
Oh, no, he isn't. He's still a youngin. He is still a youngin. Okay,
He's
there
not
he
even
is.
75 Earth years.
Okay, bye. You have the mic, but happy birthday.
Hi, you guys
I
Ba.
there?
normally don't sing to a man,
Okay,
but happy
there you are.
birthday.
No, sorry, I haven't got my headphones on, so you're going to hear echo. Hold on, I'll 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 connect them. Carry on with the show, and I'll join.
Not if everybody's
All
muted.
right.
You won't hear an echo bar. Like typically, if we all mute, you won't hear.
Okay, okay. Well, thanks for the birthday wishes, guys. And I'm 34, not 75. It's getting worse and worse every day.
Happy 75th birthday.
Cheers.
Well, okay. So, I know Bod just came in. So, Bod, do you want to add into the conversation or pass the mic? Because I do have another question that I want to ask.
No, carry on. I'm obviously late to the show, so I don't actually know even. I know the topic, but I don't know what's being said. So carry on.
Okay. So, so do you guys believe that there is a devil? That not necessarily the person with the horns and red and with the tail and what have you, but do you believe that there is someone that is the devil? Do you believe that when you die, that if you did not lead a righteous life, that there's that possibility that you will go down instead of up? Do you believe that there's a down and an up? And again, if we listen to this higher power, or whomever this higher power is, that we would all go up as opposed to going down. Chill.
You
Chill.
said me. You said you talking. Okay, I'm sorry. Yeah. So you're saying that I what? it's the same question for me.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. Do you think that there's a devil?
A double?
Devil. Do you believe in the devil?
Oh. Okay, got you. The devil. I got because I did
Devil.
that
Yeah.
last. I
Sorry,
got to call that
devil.
last like 30 seconds. Okay, yeah. The devil. The devil. The devil. I think it's bad energy and good energy. So in that case, I guess yes.
Okay, so now you're saying the word energy. So do you believe that that higher power is that God is energy as opposed to a higher power, and the devil is bad energy as opposed to being the devil? I'm trying to make sense here. I I know
I
what
get
I
what you're
want to
saying,
say.
but I think it's a
Yeah.
necessity. It's a necessity. I feel like there's there has to be good and bad, or we won't have there won't be life wouldn't exist. It wouldn't be no contrast. Like it's impossible. It has to be yin and yang, right? And so whatever you want to label that that energy, that deity, or whatever you want to call it, it it's there for a reason, you know. And I think we look into it too much. Like some things just exist to exist, and they're necessary. You know, we got flowers, we got great things, but we also need bacteria. You know, if it wasn't bacteria, nothing would die, nothing would decompose, nothing would go away, nothing would cease to exist. So I mean, and that's a positive to some degree, right? We just make it a negative. So it's just I think it's our thought process is what's skewed, and I mean, we can't even figure out how to clear, cure the common cold. So we just don't know what the hell we talking about. I mean, we know what we feel more, and so that's why I would say. But that's a trick in itself to know what you're feeling and recognize it, what's true and what's not, and if it's part of your just weakness um or your intuition.
So when you say okay, if you think a certain way, or you feel that something's not right, or something uh isn't right, or you should not do something, if you're a kid and you're at recess, and your friend wants you to go and you know tease this little girl or whatever, and that intuition is telling you no, don't do it. Is that the message that God is sending you, like, don't do it? Or is it just common sense, because if I do it, I'll probably get in trouble?
Well, as you know, I'm a teaching moment person. You know, if you're that way, I think you eventually learn a lesson from it, and it may be purposeful, like the what you can learn from that. And so I don't think this God telling you. I don't know if it's. I don't know who that is. That's the thing. I'm not. It's yourself telling yourself that. You know, we got the choices, but you got to learn what not to do and what not to. I mean, I don't know if it's just. I think it's a learning process. It, and God could watch you do the wrong thing, and He's like, "Well, you're gonna learn from it. You're gonna be blessed from it." So let the devil try to do his work. I mean, if you want to look at it like that, like yes, devil's working all the time, but what you're gonna learn from it, and and hopefully that's the case if you look at it in that angle. So that could just that very well may be the devil, but the God just let the devil do his thing, so you can realize, hey, it's better. And it may not be today, it
Okay.
may not be
Now,
tomorrow, but when you grow up, you learn. Learn. Hopefully, you learn.
okay. I'm going to read some of these comments. Mateman says, I think we are our own devil and angel because we are between good and bad. Lurak says, God is good energy, devil is bad energy. Basically, see, okay. I saw one that I wanted to read. Brina, you said something else. I'm sorry.
And I say
Sometimes,
that really quick. I say that because bad is like all this is perception based. What when one person thinks it's bad, another thinks is not bad, and so that's the stiff slippery slope that we kind of partake in when we start to call things good and bad, because different sides of the globe.
Okay, so I'm going to ask this because I know she'll probably just got a phone call. So I want to ask this, and Bob, I'll go over to you if you want to jump in, or if anybody else wants to come in. I'll send some more invites out if you guys want to come on board. So let's look at what's going on in the world today. We have politicians, we have different groups, we have a divided world, whatever. Is anybody paying attention to what God is telling us, or what someone out there is trying to teach us? Is anyone paying attention? And because we're not listening to the signs, we're not listening to the message, that we're all in this state of flux right now, that we're all just so divided, everybody's just going different ways. Is it because no one, no matter who you are, no matter what you believe, no one is listening to the big message that is out there for all of us? Anybody? Bahram, you want to take that one? Or Chill? Okay.
No, Bob ready. If he's ready, he can go.
Bob? Okay, Chill, you can go ahead and take that one. I'm not sure. I think Bob's still.
What's the May said that's a chill. That's a morals and integrity based on my brother. You either have them or lesser degree to don't. Okay. I was just reading some of the comments. What is it? Scooter says, chill. That's a moral and integrity based, my brother. You either have more to the lesser degree you don't. All right. So May says that's a me mindset. Chill, my boy. She rub it off on you. I don't necessarily know what he meant by that, but yeah. But overall, uh, you said what was the last thing you said? Because it just skipped my mind reading those.
No,
It just
I
skipped
just
my
want to
mind.
know, with everything that's going on right now, with politicians saying one thing, with
Yes, gotcha, gotcha.
part of different groups and factions, are we all just missing the message?
I don't think we never got the message. I mean, if that's the case, because we tend to be, we always tend to think, oh, it's the end of days. Like I heard somebody came on the program earlier. Well, we're in the end days. Like, what do you think they thought in the medieval times? What do you thought that they thought in slavery times? What do you thought that, what I'm saying? Like, they probably always thought, like, oh, it's the end of time. We don't necessarily know. Maybe it's not, but is it really worse than I don't know, the Wild West? Is it really? I don't know. Like, we watch the news too much, I think. So it exemplifies, or n- exponential, it makes things worse exponentially because we looking at certain things off the TV. But there is war, right? But I don't know if is it less war though than there used to be. We got one person. At one point, we weren't at war at all. I mean, as far as out in the media, there's always a war going on behind the scenes, I'm sure. But like from what I read, it was wars going on all the time. At one point, it's people invading. That's been since the beginning of time. So I don't know if we're missing the message more so than if we never just got it.
Okay, so Lou Rock says Satan causes all division. Um, God is a loving God. And Brina, what did you say? Okay, sadly, most people are out to satisfy themselves, and their ego takes over. So, mate, you want to make any? I'll pass the mic to you. You want to comment on any of that, or anything thus
Oh,
far?
no, for chill. I was just stating a point. Like you said, certain things are good to some people and will be perceived bad to some people. So that's why I said your Mimi is rubbing off on you, because that's always her standpoint. You
Well,
get
I
me?
mean, it's truthful though. It's truthful because there's certain things that are bad, but like I said, like you know, some people may think you know, uh, death is bad, but others think it's like it's a necessity, or it's to live a certain age and die that's not a bad thing at all. It's just how you perceive things. culturally, right? Here in America, we do things one way, but if you go over there and you know, women don't have certain rights, you know, and so is that cool for those women? They may fight for that. Like, this is how the natural makeup of things is supposed to go. The man's supposed to do this, the woman's supposed to do this, you know, and then we over here like, oh hell no. Well, you can ask my auntie, you know, to be barefoot in the kitchen somewhere and shut up. Oh, you gonna get a pin upside your head, a rolling pin. Something gonna happen to you. So that's what I mean by everybody's perception is different. So these are hard things to kind of tackle, situations and subjects to kind of.
Me?
Yeah, for some of it I agree. But overall, is there a higher power? Of course, there is. Do we listen? Or was that message conveyed, or did we get the message? I don't know. I don't know if present times, if there is anybody preaching anything different outside the norm that we aren't already aware of. And yeah, I wanted to touch on something else that Chill said. Yeah, for the end of times, people has been always leaning to that, and my my opinion on that is, um, how can I put it? Man, our men, or whatever you want to call it, son, they're just creating their own end of time, and religious people are putting the narrative towards men end of time concept, as in the wars and certain things that you're hearing about. That's just men or man doing their thing, and then everybody else is just putting it towards that, the narrative towards to fit that agenda. Sorry. So that's just my.
Okay. I have a question because Lubrock, you said, well, what if women not doing what God intended for them is bad? I'm not sure what you mean by that. Could you clarify that? No, chill. I'm not saying barefooted and in the kitchen. I'm just wondering, what God intended for them. So, and you know what? And then that's another question because when you say, let's look at the word intended. Okay. Here I go again with my play on words again. Um, when the world was created, if you guys believe in, Adam and Eve and how the world started, whatever, um, if it was intended for women to, have children and what have you, was it just supposed to stop there? Who's to say that we weren't intended to do greater things that, we should have been the head of the household? Could that have been God's message? I'm
What
just
what can
I'm just throwing it out there. And welcome, Petty Deb, and welcome, Abina. So, you know, um, again, are there so many messages out there that are coming towards us that we're just, over centuries and just years and years and years that we've just, as humans, we've just missed it. We've just completely missed everything.
what's more greater privilege for a woman to raise, sorry, a future leader? So I'm not saying that women should stay home and cook and stuff like that now, but there's a lot of other things aside from just cooking and cleaning. You get me? She keeps her house together. She keeps the family intact. She helps the young ones, and of course, a man should participate. I'm not saying you should just go to work and not help. Of course, I've always believed in that philosophy because what are most of the arguments our relationship problems our marital problems stems from a woman feeling overwhelmed and underappreciated because the fact that she's home doing all of this stuff and you just come home from work and idle off or go to sleep or eat, and then she still has the kids to deal. Well, the children. Sorry, I don't like using the word kids. The children's to deal with and household stuff, and then you're just like that, you know, assisting her or letting her feel that much appreciated. So if a woman wants to work, that's up to her. But just know with like those kind of actions, there are gonna be certain repercussions. And I'm not talking about repercussions in a bad way, but there's not gonna be anyone there to help feed the children properly because you're gonna leave them to daycare. You don't know what the hell they're gonna be exposed to at daycare or this type of surrounding that they're going to be involved with. So there's a lot of things to it. I'm not saying a woman should stay home and just take care of the household and all of that, but if that was the narrative, the norm, still being continued throughout this day, I think the world would be a better place because hence, she's there.
Okay, so I'm reading some of the comments, and Rena says, well, let me start with Lou Rock. Women are great uniters, but can't get along with each other. Rena says that's like 5 more shows. Men lost examples in how to be good men. Most women can't cook and clean or most women can't cook and clean or be a man's calm and comfort. Lou Rock, yes, men have definitely not learned how to be good providers. I agree. And Brina says men and women both lost their way. We're all messed up in a way. Okay, so and Juju's like, yeah, what happened? You know, again, is this all the way things have turned out with Adam and Eve? Women supposedly supposed to stay home and have babies, take care of, the house, whatever. But over time, things have evolved. Women are in the workforce. They're CEOs. They are just powerhouses. Was that the way it was supposed to be anyway? Was that actually the message? Whatever, is that what God intended? For everything to be the way it is now. Welcome, Petty Deb Crucible.
I'm just gonna make a fun kind of gesture. And I think that was the devil. That all of that stemming from the devil. Being a powerhouse.
Mate, you like to poke. You like to be that little match there. So but but is that what God intended? You can have like 5 more shows off of these comments. You think, Brina? You think? Welcome, Mr. T. So I mean, again, I come back to the higher authority that is out there. Have we all missed it that everything that is going on, that this is everything that was intended, that the way things were 50 years ago are not the way that they are now. The way things were, 200 years ago, things that your grandmother did, whatever, your mom or, your sister, whatever, they're not doing it. Was this God's plan? So Ba, are you there? You wanna jump in?
Yeah. So I'm not a religious person, but I believe in a creator. And even your previous question, like, do you believe in the devil? Like, that's one that I never really dwell on. But I think if you're religious and you believe in God, I think you kind of have to believe that there's an opposite. Although I don't dwell on it, and I still don't really want to think about that one for too long. But I think it's kind of a given that if there's a good, there's an evil. And but I don't believe in the Bible as such. I don't believe in any of the books that not 100% fully anyway. But what I do know is when I got into this stuff, whether it was politics at first and then conspiracy and the new world order stuff, and then even you guys have spoke often about the end of times. And what really gets me is like you know, comments and things that I hear from in the Bible that basically tell us, like, it almost seems as if the Bible's predicting the future. And I've learned about something called, I think it's called dispensationalism. I think that's what Made Man was referring to, and I'm totally on board with that, where men are trying to push on the end of days. They're like forcing it in that direction. They're trying to make it happen. They're trying to bring back the second coming of Christ, and they're creating wars. They're creating, well, like climate change and disaster. 7 years of happiness, 7 years of evil. That whole theory, the Antichrist stuff, the 666 stuff that we see, the barcodes, that was 666. The patent for the vaccines that we're receiving now is 666. So it's all like the men that run our world. I 100% believe they know. If the Big Bang Theory was real, they'll know. If there's a God and a devil, they'll know. So what I've learned, from all the 6 years that I've been doing this, is I went into this open minded, and I wasn't religious, and I still am, but I now know 100% we are created. And I've also listened to, there's probably only one guy that I would really genuinely trust out there, and it's not your Alex Jones and your Joe Rogans and your Russell Brands and your David Icke. It's a guy called Owen Benjamin, who was an ex comedian in Hollywood, and he's been in a few films, and he's gone off grid, and he's a man of God now, and he's basically living by the word of God, and he's growing his own food. He's got his um, goats for their milk, and he's got his chicken coop, and his wife's at home baking bread and giving recipes online to people, and he's building like this huge community where you can basically go and rent some land off him. And he's created, like, it sounds like it is a cult. He's openly admitted it's a cult, but I think it's a cult with a good purpose. Like, he's named it Bear Taria. So anyone that enters his live shows, you can create a name. So I would be like Baram U Bear, and Chill Will would be Chill Bear, or whatever he wanted to be called. But there's always Bear at the end, and you can like donate to him, and you can go and live on his land. And to me, that is what God intended for us. That Bible, a lot of it is true. It's like they want us to be self-sufficient, homestead, and not consent to the devil, not go into debt and into slavery and into all this evils that they put on us. Car loans, finance, it's all sin. It's all in the Bible. It's telling you not to do it. So if you were to follow the Bible, there's a good chance that you'd be having a great life right now, and you wouldn't be worried about any of this stuff. But we're so polluted and demoralized that we're not listening. So I hope that, brings that full circle to what you were saying just there. Like, are we listening to the message? And I don't think many of us are. So that's where I stand.
Okay. All right. Anybody want to respond to that? Jill, mate?
Um, yeah. For the cult part, I'm not too fond of cults. Seeing previous histories and stuff that happens in cults, so I'm not too fond of that part. Everything else sounded very nice with the chicken coop and the whole farm thing, and yeah, that was good. But when it stemmed down to the cult, no. But yeah, for the end of times, man contributing or doing their own end of time concept. All right, this is like my proof, and if you look into it, all right. So in the Quran, it stated that the land should be flushed. Sorry, and the waste. It's not gonna be a desert land anymore. It's gonna be flushed, and we're gonna have the tallest building in the world, and we're gonna be the wealthiest economy and stuff like that. Proof that's like, if anybody else would think critically or logically, you'll see that what if something is written down and a person who's has a convicted, like a mindset towards, like, all right, it was written by our leader, someone that we look up to. Why can it not be true? And there you have the EUA, United Arab Emirates. You have all of that. You have Dubai, you have Abu Dhabi. Look how it is. Once it was a barren wasteland with sand. Now it's the pyramid. It's one of the world's most interesting place. So I'm just saying that things are written, and then you have man who chooses whether or not if it can be something that comes to fruition. So that's why I said I don't really play on with the whole end of times thing and revelation and all of that, because man can read something and follow through with it, and hence people are gonna try to put the narrative to it. So you have to be a critical thinking person to look between the lines or try to see similarities of things before jumping to a conclusion or adding to that narrative. That's just. Hello?
Yeah, we still here. Maybe she had to step away. I'm not
Oh
quite sure
no,
what
I am no,
solid.
I I am here. My dogs
Can
are acting up. I didn't
can
want y'all
I
to hear them.
Mhm.
can I
But
just clear? Oh, sorry.
no, go ahead. Go ahead.
It was just to clear up. Like Made Man said about cults. You can't, and then your comment about. I tend to agree as well. I don't like the word cult. I think it's been demonized, and because a lot of them are nefarious, and they have weird belief systems, and we've heard the horror stories. But I generally think that to beat, there's a lot of people that think like me, and to beat the system, and to there's a lot of people believe that the cults rule the world, like the secret societies, the Freemasons, the Jesuits, the Skull and Bones. So I think what that guy's doing, creating a cult that is pure. And there's no like thing about you can't ever leave. It's nothing like that. It's just come and live on his land for very cheap and barter instead of using the fiat currency. That's it's a slave thing. And I don't knock all cults. I think joining a cult of that type would be a good thing. I don't think it's all bad. I think it's just we're programmed to think that they are, and that's all. That's all I was going.
Well, I mean, because my thing is, and I don't know if you heard this, Bob. If I said this before, you came on, but when you have a cult, and Brina even said, I love the idea of simple life. It just gets dangerous when people start worshiping a man. I think that whether you're a Freemason, secret society, whatever, when you look at a cult, they tend to, the leader sooner or later tends to put themselves up as to be God, or they're this higher being. And again, you look at the prime minister, the pope, whoever. It's like all these people who are heads of state. Some people worship these people. Some people think that these people, like, oh my God, he is like the best thing. Oh my God, he will change everything, heaven and earth, whatever. And they pray to these people. They worship these people, and none of them, no matter who they are, in my eyes, are at that level to ever get worship status, because at the end of the day, they're still human. They still sin. They still do things that they shouldn't. So when when you start talking about cults, and what have you, it's like, to me, you're just putting yourself sooner or later where you're going to start worshiping that person. So
Does that mean they're
Yeah,
not praiseworthy, Solid Blue? Because
I'm
they're
sorry.
human?
I'm sorry.
Does
Does it
that
mean
mean
what?
they're not praiseworthy because they make mistakes and they're human?
When you say praiseworthy, what do you mean? If it means that someone, you say, oh, you did a really good job, yes, they're doing a good job, whatever. But when it's like, oh my, where people, when they get to the point where people are actually crying because they're in the room, come on. You know,
Well,
when it gets to the point where where this person becomes like a cult like status, person to these people, sorry, that's when I check out, because
Yeah,
they're still human.
there's an argument to say that the people there's people right now, most people are in the Fauci cult. They're taking whatever he says, and it's kind of a cult like thing. I mean, I'm not pushing back. I'm not offended or trying to get this to be the new subject of the show tonight. I'm just saying, for me, I get accused of being in a cult every day almost, because I'm a conspiracy theorist. I post things on my social media, and you'll get comments on Twitter saying conspiracy theories are rabbit holes or cults, and it's all part of a anti-Semitism, white supremacy type thing. And it couldn't be further from the truth. I mean, you guys have listened to me on and off for the last 3 months, and I don't sound that way, I hope. And I think that's what they do. It's like anything that's raw and pure. And I mean, this guy that I'm telling you about, Owen Benjamin, he's a man of God now. And it's not that he is the cult leader. It's just kind of went that way. And he's not a leader even. He's just, living his life by the Bible now. And he's, teaching people there's a way out of all this. If you're not happy with the way the world's turning out, and the social credit score, the digital currency, all this dark, evil, communistic things that we've warned you all about for 40, 50, 60 years or whatever, it's all coming true in the last couple of years, that there is a different way out of it. And what the media will do is, with guys like him, they'll throw him off of PayPal, they'll throw him off of Patreon so he can't be funded. He obviously isn't on any social media, and they'll demonize him as a white supremacist or an anti-Semite, because these are the two terms that easily demonize people, and nobody will listen to them anymore. So I'm just like throwing that out there, because I think the show tonight is a good one. It's the message of God. And to me, I think, like I said, my final point last time I spoke was the message is there, and it provides us with a better way of life. But we're so easily, we like our mobile phones, we like how easy things are, and that's how they get us. We're making a bond with the devil. That's why any contract, consent, it's all in the wording even. So there are ways out of it. Many of us aren't willing to take those ways. But yeah, that's all I want to say.
Okay, Crucible, I am coming to you, but I do want to say, read something that Brina said. Politicians play on the public's emotions, and emotions will take you to a place where logic can't reach you. And to respond back to you, Ba, I don't want to, I hate the whole thing where this is where they want to take us. This is where they has been around for centuries, for hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of years. For me personally, I just think that and I'm not just talking about people who are in cults, because as far as I'm concerned, you can look at a political party is a cult, a PTA, meeting could be a cult, whatever. I mean, anyone where people are in the position of power, even if it's your next door neighbor who is in charge of the neighborhood watch, if for whatever reason someone starts to see them as more than what they are, than more than a human being, and they start to give them worship status, I'm just saying I have a problem with that. I'm not trying to demonize or anything. I'm just saying, for me personally, I have an issue with that. So with that said, Crucible, I'm sorry. Thank you for waiting patiently.
No problem. Thanks for having me. I know the conversation has been about God for the most part, and the message from God, and maybe our relationship with God. And it seems to me, over the years, I'm old enough to remember a lot of the cults, the Jim Jones, and some of the other things. And it seems to me that they pray, cults, because you're right, Solid. They aspire to be the center of the universe and a replacement for God. And I think cults prey on people who may not have a great relationship with God, or may not even believe in God, but they want to believe in something. They want to latch on to something and believe in something or someone. And if they don't believe in God, they're vulnerable to believe in almost anything. So I think what happens with a lot of these cults, they understand what they're dealing with. They understand that it's a predatory environment, and they're dealing with people who have severe, extreme vulnerabilities, and that's their opening. So I think if people have a good relationship with God and they're listening to God, God would tell them to reject false prophets. And that's basically what a lot of these cults are. And I know I'm talking about extreme cults like Jim Jones, but you're right, political parties, any insular group that doesn't seem connected to the greater world out there is at risk for being closed-minded and developing theories and thought processes that are inconsistent with reality. A healthy relationship with God, I'm not saying God is the answer to everything, but it just seems to me that it would be very surprising to me to learn that a majority of people who are belonging to cults today or in the past have healthy relationships and believe in God. I don't know that it's possible for both of those things to coexist. And I believe the people who organize these groups, and I don't want to necessarily refer to them all as cults, but they organize insular groups who believe a doctrine that is not necessarily supported by reality. And that's the opening for people to take them either away from God or to keep them away from God.
Okay. Now, before I let somebody else answer, I just want to read what Lou Rock said. He says, the greatest man in history, he has no servants, yet they call him master. He had no degree, yet they call him teacher. He had no medicines, yet they call him healer. He had no army, yet kings feared him. He won no military battles, yet he conquered the world. He committed no sin, yet they crucify him. He was buried in a tomb, yet he lives today. So, anybody want to comment on what Lou Rock said? Because I
want to thank him. I want to thank him for giving me so much admiration.
Oh, Jill, we are going to have a talk. All right. So, all right. And Michael, he says, I think Waco Group worship God and the old Mormons are basically a cult. That's interesting. That's interesting because like Crucible, I've been around long enough to seen a lot of stuff that happened in the 70s, and yes, I'm dating myself, whatever, and just things, and some things that were going on in the 60s and what have you. I mean, you know again, I just come back to when we put man, a regular human being, up on a pedestal, we are then allowing that person to dictate to us, tell us what to do. And for some people, they become sheep and they follow these people, and it's not real. I mean, it's not reality. I mean, that's just my own opinion. Welcome,
Solid.
Shy Lady, Sala, and Don
Scooter.
Hasselhoff. Scooter, I already said Scooter.
Yeah, what up,
I
Scooter?
recognize him early on. So go ahead, Jill. You want to say? You want to say something?
You just said like you don't want me to have no baby mamas. What it sound like? You won't have me no baby mamas at all, because that's how they look up to me. I got plenty of them. That's what what am I supposed to do? It's just
Oh,
crazy. But no,
Jill.
for real, it's all about how you at. Listen, this is the fact that I'm gonna tell you what's really silly that we, you know, think there's a perfect entity that we're supposed to emulate. Like that's crazy. The fact that that's a thought process. Like it's I don't know. But at any rate, and I see some people in here there talking about like the Colts and don't the Colts follow God? And sure they do, but they of course they do. All of them are based in that. I don't think what Bob was saying, well, which I think he was trying to say about the guy. He says he's about man, a guy. He's just trying to do whatever, whether he wants to or not. He's the basis of that idea. I mean, he drives that idea, so he will become that entity at one point, or someone out of that group will become that entity at one point to where they're almost larger than life because they're the one pushing the idea. They're the ones making sure that the idea is being administered properly around that area. Someone has to police. Everybody has to have you know, somebody has to police that area. Somebody has to, you know, it has to be a right and wrong. It has to be certain rules. Somebody sets those rules. So you, by default, become that person, whether you feel like, well, he's not like that or not. Like And so that's the part. It may start off innocent. A lot of times it doesn't end up that way. They may a lot of times you go into politics with the greatest intentions and feel and learn that, oh no, I'm gonna have to get dirty to get my point across, and so you get caught up in the rat race. And overall, it's all about perception. I can read one passage of a Bible verse, and then Solid reads it, then Crucible reads it, and we come up with three different things. And then what that means, one can start a cult, one can start a church, and the other one can, just say the hell with God, and which is crazy to some people, you know what I mean? So that, and that's just how it is. It's all about interpretation, right? And that's why I say it's more about energy for me, because I think arrogance is one of our key determining factors in humans. We're not the only things on this earth. If the world ends, it might end for us, for humans, but I'm pretty sure there's millions of species out here that be like, hey, I'm glad we got rid of their ass. So it ain't ending for them. So it's just the arrogance. You know what I'm saying? Like, damn, you think this world is centered just around us, huh?
Okay, Crucible, I'm actually agreeing with you. Cults like to control the flow of information to their members, and I agree with that.
Yeah, and I just wanted to make one real quick comment on that, Solid. I think back to the vulnerabilities thing, the ironic thing about cults or groups, God protects the most vulnerable. When it comes to these types of groups, it seems like they're seen as targets, and that's the opposite, I think, of what God would want. And controlling information is a way of controlling people's minds. And when you control people's minds, you control their lives. So yeah, I think that's an excellent point in that, God looks out for the vulnerable. Cults prey on the vulnerable. I think that's an important distinction.
Okay. And Michael, I'm gonna pass you the mic, but I just want to read something that Scooter said. That's where you are getting bogged down. Chill, perception, and interpretation are man-made concepts. So, Michael, you have the mic.
So I'm gonna take this. I'm gonna get deep on this, but
we're already there. We'll get deeper.
So one thing you say about humans is we're an extremely driven race, right? We're always searching for answers. We look at our innovation. No other animal on the planet has been able to do what we've done, right? So we're always looking to excel. We're always looking to find out new information, find answers, all that stuff. What would happen? And I think this plays into the whole maybe the God conversation, or even along the lines of science. But what would happen if we knew everything, right? And do you think that maybe some religions or some of the cults that pop up, or some whatever kind of organization or belief pops up just for the purpose of, pursuing answers of some sort? Like maybe you have Ba, who, believes in flat earth. So he's a part of a light group and they're constantly doing research to pursue that. Do you think that could be a main driver in, some of these cults and these organizations? It's not so much, it is a control thing maybe, or someone wants to feel like godly, like you said, like some of these cults will worship the leader. But do you think that it could also be they get fixated on certain topics or certain things, and they want to pursue those answers, and that's a way for them to kind of go all in on that?
Can I ask a question real quick, Michael?
Absolutely. Go on, Joe. Go ahead.
What do you mean by do what we done? Because do what we done can mean a lot of different things. Like,
no, like I'm talking about the human
advanced race.
Yeah, like no other animals living in houses, right? They're not driving cars. They're not like they have an advanced.
But does that make us advanced? In your eyes, it does. But there's a lot of stuff we can't do that other species can do as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, when I'm saying it, I'm just saying it as far as what we define.
My point is that's the perfect example of how we think we're just that more advanced, and we really think we're the advanced ones.
Well, let me give you this. what's the most dangerous predator in the world?
Good. Take your pick. I don't know.
It's a human. It's a
We
human,
are.
Human.
mankind.
We
Yeah,
are
it's a
human.
human,
I mean,
right? But we're not even close to being the most physically able. I mean, if you got in a one-on-one fight with a lion, you'd lose 10 out of 10 times, right? But we are more advanced, and we come up with ways to where we can actually kill that lion,
right.
And
So
so,
what I'm
yeah, I
saying
would
is
say
that
we're far more
to disrupt the natural order of things, if that means it's good or bad.
yeah, well, I'm not
Not
speaking on is it good or
respect the
bad.
earth. Right. Got you. Like that's what I'm saying. Like, what does that? That's what I mean. What does that really mean, though? We can be advanced, but are we really? Are we hindering ourselves?
Yeah.
Are we too smart? Are we? You know what I mean? And then thus making us stupid.
We very well could be, right? Like, and that's a whole conversation that could, because I was being broad. What I'm saying is just the pursuit of answers, because it's not we do things that
I see
aren't
what you're
always
saying.
in.
I'm with you now.
Yeah, like we're not always doing things that may not be the best for mankind, right? I mean, if we did, then as soon as they found out emissions from cars may hurt the climate, why didn't we cut that off immediately, right? But we're always trying to innovate. We're always trying to get better for the most part. We're a very competitive species. And I think a lot of that has to do with just the pursuit of information of, how many animals do you think care about where they came from? Most of them are just trying to survive, let alone care about where they came from and going back through history and
But
having
that's
all
what
different
you're right.
theories.
And all I'm saying is that I think that could be more of a vice in a lot of ways as well. Because I mean, for us technically, but I think if we look at it as a totality, it could be we're removed from our natural instincts a lot, and I think it could be a huge vice in some.
Mhm. Yeah. Like I said, it could be good or bad. I'm just saying that. Do you think that this kind of pursuit, right? This drive is what causes these cults, these groups, these in different, maybe even religions or anything? Do you think that plays a part in the establishment of a lot of these things?
Of course, but the natural order too, just the order of how poverty, rich,
Mm.
getting everything, and then poor, and trying to make sense of things. Out that advanced nature, that thought process of us trying to figure things out all the time. Yeah, of course, that part is definitely a reason why.
Mm.
Okay, can I stop you for a moment? Mate, I'm gonna go to you because you said that you think that Michael Key is kind of wrong, but I also want to say that Lurock says, but man affected animals' lives. So May, you can go ahead and respond to Michael Key because I know
All
you
right.
wanted to say something.
When he was talking about us being ahead of everything, man, if you look at certain inventions, man copies from animal because they tend to observe certain things that individual animal or insect does, and if you notice that some of them becomes an invention, seeming like the spider silk or web. Hence, they're using spider webs for a lot of things now. So it's not that we are the pinnacle of advancement. We just observe or copy from the that what we call the lower species. Sorry, echolocation is from dolphins and whales, which we took to use for our betterment and advancement. Still can't do it better than the dolphins, but hey, anyways. Secondly, for the other thing that you stated, and I think everybody is kind of overlooking the main aspect as we're digging into cults now and individuals who are being praised. I think Bernard said it before, ego. So yes, there are persons who are called to do good or to represent the ideal of God or the word, but their ego, stemming from the praise that they're getting from individuals, their followers, who they're supposed to lead to God, starts to praise them instead. And as they did back in the days as Moses, I will use him as an example. Whenever someone called or Jesus, whenever someone tries to like give him the praise or them the praise, they would normally tell him, no, the Father is worthy of the praise, not me. I am just a messenger. I'm just a translator. So those people had held their moral grounds and know their ground in that, hey, I'm just here to guide you to the fountain. You're not supposed to drink from my fountain. There's a bigger fountain there that you all should acknowledge, not me. I'm just a follower of that person who was sent to guide you. So I'm thinking everybody is kind of, it's all over the place. And yeah, that's just what I came up, the synopsis of what I came up with. That cults are stemmed from that because the leaders are the persons who came to show them the way or show them the true way or the light kind of got lopsided, and the ego and the praise and everything went to their head, so they're thinking that they're the pinnacle of whatever, and people start giving them that, and that's where all of this stems from. That's all I gotta say.
I can I
Okay.
respond?
I was going to say, Mike, do
Yeah.
you want to go ahead?
Yeah. And I'm literally playing devil's advocate here, right? I'm not if I ever talk about religious stuff on my show, like I'm a Christian, but I'm not all big into it. But the first thing as far as advancement, and I understand what you're saying. We take and we copy, but the iPhone wasn't the first phone to be created, right? But the iPhone made it a hell of a lot better. Therefore, it is advanced over what the original was. So if we take something from an animal and we take it and we do it and we make it better and suitable for us, like a spider web naturally produces a spider and naturally produces spider webs. But now, what if we were able to take that and mass produce it to benefit ourselves? We're actually advancing that kind of technology. The second thing, as far as, and I'm going to flip the script, right? You said like, okay, like Jesus or someone along those lines, they took the moral high ground. They weren't looking for worship. They didn't want to be worshiped. They said the praise belongs somewhere else, not on them. But what if they knew that they still were looking for worship because they ended up being the ones that are worshiped, and that was just the way they went about it?
Okay, and you notice that we're not they didn't have the same predicament that we're having now in this current day. No, because all the teachings has been passed down and to show that worship God and not me. But now when it came to us, whichever time frame, now people or individuals wants to take the praise and the worship, and it's getting to their head. Everybody else had their own standpoint and their morals. David, Moses, Jesus. I think Solomon was kind of one of them, kind of in between kind of space. I'm not really a Christian person per se. I'm just going off the narrative. And you're talking about betterment in advancement. Sorry, we still can't breathe underwater for excess for like the whole time. So that's something that we can never perfect.
Yeah.
We can
But
stay
we can do it a
underwater,
lot
but
better
we have
than every other. But we can do it a lot better than
animal.
every other
Really?
land breathing animal.
Really? You have animals that can breathe both on land and water. What? That's a different thing for different
Mammals. Well,
topics.
you have dolphins and stuff, but you get what I'm saying, and I understand what you're saying too, right? Now it's just kind of being hypothetical with the whole thing because I do fully understand what you're saying, but going back to the Jesus thing and how I said, well, maybe they wanted to worship, but they just went about getting that worship by taking that moral high ground. And if God exists, then wouldn't God be the most egocentric of them all because he wants all the worship and he has a monopoly on heaven and hell and who he accepts based off of how they worship him and how they follow his guidance and everything that he does?
True. Yes.
Well,
Absolutely.
the census, and it's been coming down from him. The census and the whole concept of it is stemming from him. So if he desires it, seeing that he's the creator of all, then you breaking and branching off your own part, what do you think gonna happen? You're gonna have divide. You're gonna have a lot of chaos. So
Yeah. And look, I'm just throwing out some philosophical thoughts here, right? I'm not like saying I agree with any of this, but I'm just saying if God created an entire race, and he's sitting there basically with a monopoly on who's coming to heaven, who's coming to hell, and he is wanting everyone to believe in him and worship him accordingly, that means he basically created a society for the sole purpose of him being worshipped.
Okay, let me stop for a moment. After everything that Made and Michael said, I want to go over to Bahram because you kind of opened the door on the whole cult thing. So, do you want to respond to anything?
I mean, it's quite hard to respond to those kind of. I mean, Michael had a great bit there, and as much as I'd love to, fire back, and not that I disagree, it's more when I'm listening to that type of thing. It's like I mean, I'm kind of the wrong person to even talk about this stuff because of my views. I think Michael's coming from like a raw, like a, I don't know. It's like what everyone believes the way the world works, and I obviously don't believe that's how it works. And if we're going to touch upon cults and things, the only thing that's going through my mind is to say like we all know about these cults. We all know about Freemasonry and Skull and Bones, but we don't actually know what they actually believe. What is their indoctrine? Who do they worship? How does it work? I'm doing actually some research on Skull and Bones, and at one point there was 2 Skull and Bones members fighting for presidency, and that was when it was George Bush Jr. and was it Kerry? Both of them were Bonesmen, and one of the most standout things I've heard so far is someone's commentary on that is saying, like, the very minimum that we as people should be doing is when we find out that these people are part of a cult, and I'm not just talking about Skull and Bones, there's tons and tons of cults out there. The very minimum we should be doing if we were, responsible adults, responsible human beings, is look into what those cults believe, because you then you're governed by these people. So, for instance, if you found out that Anthony Fauci at night was going home and chopping up little kids and eating them for his dinner, and then he's telling you to put on a mask and wear it 24 hours a day, and then put on a second and third mask, you see where I'm getting there. So when I'm listening to, and with all due respect, like, I think it was actually you, Solid, that you kind of said about we're kind of like, if a cult arises, the leader becomes like a godlike figure and we all become like sheep. And I'm sitting there going like, and again, I'm being respectful, I'm not being patronizing, but you see where I'm coming from when most people in the world today are just blindly following the news and not questioning it and questioning science and looking into it from themselves. Like, how many people are reading the back of a mask box and finding out that it tells you if you're not wearing it, that you shouldn't wear it for 20 minutes without changing it up, unless you're in a sterile environment. And I've got guys that work wearing, them for 8 hours a day, and they're black because we work in a dirty industry, the oil and the dirt that we're using, that we're working with. So it's things like that I'm kind of like, I like to sit back and hear you guys talk, and it's kind of, it's good for me to
Okay.
investigate these things. Yeah.
Okay, so boss. So let me ask this. How many people? You said look at the back of the box. I do. I look when I'm in a store and I get a receipt, whatever. I'm looking at the back. When I go into a store and I'm buying something, I'm looking on the back wall behind the counter to see if it says no returns, whatever. Because if I come back in to return something, I don't want them to say, "See right here, that is what it says." There are people who do their research. Many don't, but there are some that do. So, even for some of the things that you believe in, there's still people who are putting it out there, and you're choosing to follow or think the same way. Everyone is choosing to follow or think whatever they want to do. I mean, in the end, everyone's going to do whatever they want to do, and that's why I always come back, and I've always said over and over again, is individual choice.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, only to push back a little bit. Yeah, you're right. There are people who do, and there are people who don't. And I think I would say the most don't. The most just follow it blindly,
True.
because we're we're conditioned to, like I've said plenty of time, where the way the system's set up, we're all having to work 40, 50 hours a week to make ends meet, and both parents going out to work, and there's no time to do all this research and things, and even I find it hard. So that's why podcasting was a godsend for me, to listen to alternative views and make up my own mind as to why the world is the way it is, and how it really works. Like even like what I was saying with Michael, his last big spiel, it's like that's the natural belief system, like to what we're all believe, that God and the way the world runs, and voting, and government, and all that stuff. And then you get this alternative view as to even like going back to, like, I think you were kind of likening it to the animal kingdom, the food chain, and that's what I was thinking in my mind when you were talking, Michael, was, you know is it, to boil it down to make people understand this conspiracy new world order kind of stuff, is, don't you think it's only natural that throughout the course of time that some men will want to get to the top of society? They'll want to rule the world, if you will. So, what are we doing to prevent that from happening? And has it already happened? And if it has, why isn't everyone on it? Because it only seems to be the conspiracy theorists that kind of think that way, whereas everyone else is kind of like, oh, it doesn't matter. I'll take the shots. I'll wear the mask. I'll, go along with the NSA, the Patriot Act. Like it's like, no, we're not really holding government accountable for those things. And that's what I do. I kind of look into it and make my own mind up, and I see it. So I'm using my knowledge from what I've learned over the years to kind of make my decisions, and that being like, will I buy a 3-bedroomed house in the future? Will I buy a £400 a month BMW? No, I'll invest my money more wisely. I'll make my decisions more wisely on the basis of what I know is going to be the future. So that's it. Yeah.
I want to go to Crucible Man. We haven't heard from you. Do you want to make a comment?
No, I'll pass the mic. Thank you.
Okay. Chill. I've been reading how your baby mamas and Jill Will is
Yeah,
is on a pedestal. So,
yeah.
do
I
you
feel
want
like
to?
I'm on my pedestal, definitely. No, no. Oh, in that regard, I just think we missed Michael Key, what he was saying. I see what you were saying. He wouldn't necessarily. We kind of harped on that little part, but I do understand what he was trying to say in the totality of what he was saying. It was just using that as an example, but overall, to go back to the natural essence of thing, I just think humans in general, we don't get it, and we won't get it. It's not for us to get, and that's why we have things like intuition, and like you speak of, like omens, which is, to bring it back kind of full circle. That's why they're there, and I think the further we get removed with our advancements, is in some ways we hinder ourselves, and the world will be out of order. The world will be where we're causing our own destruction, so to speak, at least for the human race, right? Um, and I just think that's just how it is. We don't There is lack of respect for each other, lack of respect for other other species, not what I mean, just the earth, uh, just in general, and we all have the ability to kind of band together and kind of fight back, but we don't. So I mean, I feel like it's a slow, and really the totality of everything. Our time here is just a blip. So the talk of the world ending is silly, because like over the course of forever, we're not even a percent of a percent of a percent. And so just to think, it's just arrogance. Oh, the end of times are coming. Like, well, who are you? Like, it's how long we been around? Like, this place has been around. Who are you to say that? It might be, and it may be. It was for the dinosaurs, but we're still here. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I'm not saying that we're not one of the most advanced species on Earth, but it may be something out there that we can't fathom, and I'm pretty sure it is. And so I just tend to these subjects kind of tend to kind of make me think a little bit too deep. But for the most part, I do think it's based in intuition, following your heart and learning, and I think we lack that. We lack that because we're in a rat race.
All right. I want to go back to something that Lou Rock said. All great empires crash from within. And then Michael Key says 90% of all creatures live on the earth have gone extinct. So, does anybody want to tackle Lou Rock's comment? All great empires crash from within, because I think that's true.
Well, there's an old saying that power corrupts, and absolute power corrupts absolutely. So I think what happens to these regimes in the past, and these empires, they're run by men. And as we've been talking about for a while now, men are fallible and men are sinners and men make lots of mistakes. Men want to control other people. So ultimately, people are going to get tired of that kind of a government, of that kind of regime, and those things are going to collapse. I think Lou Rock is absolutely right. There's a point at which people will not accept that kind of authoritarian rule, and the power always collapses from within. It never fails because we're human beings and we're fallible people.
Can I also add there something that I've kind of learned is that the reason that why it's all collapsed before, because it's been a common thing where they've tried to rule the world before, and it's always ended in failure. Monarchies and things, they've always failed because they've used force, and the reason why it's never worked, and they've changed their tactic as of the 1800s, I believe. They've now used a different tactic, which is to use fear as their biggest tool and to submit us into giving up freedoms, and the natural occurring enslavement of human beings will take place that way. It'll be done like the analogy of put a frog into a boiling pan of water and it'll jump out, but if you put it into a cold pan of water and slowly boil it up, it'll stay in, and it'll all of a sudden, and that's a great analogy for what's happening now. Some of the things that's happening now are just crazy. If you'd said these things 3 years ago, you would have thought it was the biggest conspiracy theorist ever in the world that you were talking to. But now we're all defending these things that are happening as if they're just naturally needed, that these things are all needed, exactly that. So yeah. Tumbleweed moment.
I got something to say. When going back to what Ball and then some of you guys hit on too with you said, I believe the statement was along the lines of people are always trying to get up there to rule the world, right? You always have those people that want to go up and rule the world. I think that kind of plays into what I was saying before, as far as our will to get answers, our will to advance, our will to we're a very competitive species, right? But we're not the only ones that have a hierarchy. In fact, you have wolves, you have lions, you have dogs, you have goats, elephants, that are pack animals that have an alpha male, and they all have a hierarchical system in place, right? The difference between humans and them is, going back to what I said in my first statement, was we look at that and we say, okay, that's the alpha male. How can I beat him, even though I'm much weaker? And we innovate to either overthrow that person or do whatever in different ways, right? That's what drives our businesses the way we have it. That's what drives our politics the way we have it. That's what drives our religions the way we have it, and why we constantly change. And I think that where you end up with people, maybe playing into some of the beliefs that Ball has, where you have these elites, these high up elites that control everything. They're kind of like the bad seeds that had figured it out in such a way that they're so much further advanced than everyone else, and it's taking everyone longer to catch up. But now, as you see, maybe with the whole COVID thing, or maybe with this whole Ukraine thing or whatever, you see more and more people catching on to things that are going on, right? And the inner workings of all these groups, or these higher powers, right? And could ultimately figure out how to change that. But I think that it's not a bad thing that we have that kind of drive. I think that you have the bad seeds that go off and do certain bad things, but for the most part, if you look at our advances in medicine, our advances, I mean, how long has the average lifespan of a human increased since even just this century alone from medicine. How long, we've gone to space. I know Bob will argue that, but but for the most part, we have phones, we have so much innovation. A lot of it has to do with that competitive edge to us, and the want to be the best. We get on a podcast and we want to get exposure because we want people to come and hear what we have to say and grow it. We always want to grow it, right? Like we want to get our name out there and stuff like that. Otherwise, you wouldn't be willing to talk in front of other people and hosting a show every day. So I just think that that's kind of the human behavior behind it.
Okay. I am going to wrap it up. And Michael, I'm actually going to start with you. But again, I just want everyone to say one more time, happy birthday to Bahram. Today is his birthday. So Michael, I'm going to start with you in terms of wrapping it up. And I also want to let everyone know that Michael will be hosting the show on Thursday. And he has picked a topic that I know I want to get into. And so, Michael, if you want to say any last words about this show or talk about what you're going to talk about on Thursday.
Yeah. So, I kind of said what I had to say about this one, but Thursday, it's going to be a good show. You want me to just go ahead and tell them what we're going to discuss?
Go ahead. Tell them. Go ahead.
So it's, I can't remember the title I gave you. I believe it was how Title IX is being invaded. And let me see.
Tell people, explain to them if they don't know what Title IX is.
Yeah, so Title IX is basically the main piece of legislation that protects women's rights, be it in sports, in the workplace. There's a lot of different areas it kind of comes into concern, but that's what is like the main driver, or I'm trying to think of the right way to, you would fall back to Title IX when you're looking at equality for women in many different aspects, right? Again, sports, work.
But society. Your main point is with transgender, right?
Yeah, and how we are allowing transgender and biological males to come and partake. Oh, that's what it is. We are giving up equality for women in the name of equality. So we're taking away equality to promote equality, be it allowing biological men, to come back and start competing in roles that are a woman's role, like women's sports, right? And we all seen what's going on with the Leah Thomas stuff in the swimming competitions. And if anyone disagrees or has a different opinion, because I'll just tell you right now, I don't agree with it. So if anyone does, I'd love to have you on. That'd be a great contribution to Thursday.
Well, I'm actually going to. Well, the show is already posted on my schedule for the rest of this week. But I am going to put something out on Twitter because I think that's going to be a very interesting show. So, thank you for that.
And happy birthday, Bob.
Bob, see, you're getting some birthday wishes here. Crucible, you there? This is your last chance for alcohol. If you want to say something, I'm not going to come back around. Okay, I'm assuming he's on the phone call. I will go to Maid.
Hello.
Okay.
Sorry about that. I was muted. I'm sorry.
All right, go ahead.
I'm gonna bring it back around to the original premise of the show, Sal, which is messages from God, and are we paying attention? I think just to kind of combine the cult and the message from God thing real quick. I think we're all looking for something as a center of our universe. And a lot of people choose God and a lot of people choose other groups or cults. I think either one of them can be unhealthy when taken to extremes. I know people would say, well, you have a good relationship with God. How could that be unhealthy? Well, if God is the answer to everything and you become what they used to refer to as holy rollers or Bible thumpers, and it becomes such a thing that overshadows every other aspect of your life, that can't be healthy. Conversely, with cults and other kinds of groups, anything that dominates your life and takes you away from reality also is harmful to you. So, we would intervene if you were one of your family members would belong to a cult. You would probably try to intervene and see if you could talk some sense into them. Well, similarly, if somebody was absorbed in the world of God and to the exclusion of everything else, wouldn't you want to intervene on that as well? Because that probably is not a healthy situation either. So I think it's important to know that we all need something in the center of our lives, but just because it's a wholly a religious thing that's in our lives doesn't mean it can't be unhealthy. And certainly when we join groups that are insulated from the rest of the world, that's got the potential to be unhealthy as well.
Okay, mate. You there, mate?
Hello. Yeah, I'm back. Sorry.
Okay. So any last words?
Um, it was a good it was a very good, interesting show. It's always nice and fun being here. I don't have good conversation with different people. Michael Key, your topic sounds very interesting. I'm gonna give you a very warm time, seeing that you're a very kind of individual. So I'm gonna give you a very warm time on that topic. I won't say I agree or disagree with your thing, but isn't that what equality is about? What women fought for? What about the whole transgender community? Isn't that equality? Just prepare for a warm time. I agree with you though, very much, very cool heartedly. I disagree with the whole men invading women's thing, but women deserve they ask for it, so I'm just gonna give them a dose of their medicine. But at the end of the show I'll say my part. But I'm just gonna have fun.
Mate, you always have to start something. Always got to start something. Chill. You have the mic.
Uh-oh. Man, he is definitely the antagonist in this
Yes,
story.
he is. Chill. Go ahead. You have the You have the mic.
All right. So yeah, good show, everybody. Like I said, like I always say, good to see y'all faces, hear y'all voices, smile. You know, for a big good show, and overall, it was something I had to say, but I think I just say it because I see you trying to get out of here. But overall, yeah, good show, solid. Yeah, and so see ya. Talk to y'all later.
All right. And Baram, the birthday boy.
Thanks, guys, for all the birthday wishes. Much appreciated. And I'm looking forward to Michael's show on Thursday, which follows my show, my first live show, which will be on Should We Trust the News. Tonight's show was really good. I think we could have you could probably do another show on just cults alone. I think it's a great subject, and even the philosophical stuff that Michael touched upon. I think that's a really good chat to have. So again, thanks for having me on, and yeah, thanks for listening, guys. And
Should we
we'll
sing
see you
Happy
tomorrow.
Birthday, Solid?
No,
If you
don't do it.
Happy birthday to
To
you.
you.
Happy
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 birthday
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 to
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 you.
you.
We're all
Yeah,
singing
happy
happy birthday.
We
birthday
don't want to get hit with
to
a
you.
copyright infringement here.
All right, let's
Oh
Solid
man.
Blue, you gotta follow my lead. Solid Blue, you gotta follow my lead. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday
Well,
to you.
considering that I am not a
Happy
Stevie Wonder
birthday.
fan, I
Come
cannot,
on.
I cannot go
Ah,
there. I am
man.
not a
We
Stevie
gotta
Wonder
have a show
fan.
just about that. We gotta
Nah,
have a
not
show just
Stevie.
about that.
Sorry, not Stevie. No, no,
Oh
no,
my
no.
gosh. He can't even see you hating on him like this.
Now you're gonna make sure no, and don't try to make me feel bad because I don't. Okay, so everyone, thank you so much for coming as always, and look forward to a chat between Bahram and I with Chill Will. And our Friendly Differences show on Saturday will be on COVID, and where one of our guests will be What's Cast. And still looking for one more pro vaxxer. If there's anyone out there who is a pro vaxxer, who believes in it, like 100%, whatever. But anyway, no, but everyone, thank you so much for coming, and again, look forward to our Friendly Differences chat with Chill Will. I'm sure that will be
That's
well,
tomorrow,
anyway,
right?
yes, tomorrow. I'm sure that will be and I'll just put ... So anyway, thank you everyone for coming and speak your truth. Go where the wind takes you, and I hope to see you back here tomorrow. Bye. Chill, I don't know what I'm going to do with you, what I'm personally going to do with you.
Come on now. Come on now.
Because you
What
are
y'all gonna do out here
mess.
without Sweet Willie?
Sweet
Nah,
Willie,
nah.
Mm-hmm.
That's what they call me.
Mm-hmm.
That's what the ladies call me.
Mm-hmm. Are you sure that that's not something you made up?
No.
That that's in your mind that you're Sweet Willie?
I'm gonna have to get something now. I'm about to bring somebody on the show now. I'm gonna have to bring a couple somebodies on the show.
Sweet
They might be
Willie
barefoot in the kitchen. They might be barefoot in the kitchen, but they're gonna be here.
See, now
They can't. I tell you what, they can't use no microwave. They can't use no microwave in my house. If it ain't the oven on the top of the stove, they ain't living in my house. No, let them quit playing because they're gonna think I'm for real. You gonna get me in trouble. Why you always get me in trouble, Silas? You always get me in trouble. Goodness gracious.
You need what we call a ghetto slap.
Okay, here we go. I'm Chris Rock. I'm Chris Rock today. Ain't this something? I knew it was coming. I knew somebody was gonna bring it.
No, see, I didn't say anything. You're the one who said it.
I knew somebody was gonna bring it up. I knew it was gonna come up at one point. He waited to the very end. Oh, good to talk to you.
Good Lord. All right. I'll see y'all tomorrow.
See you tomorrow, y'all.